Welcome to the Land Trust. I'm Darien Fernandez. I'm the executive director here. I started here just over a year ago, April 1st, 2024. April 2nd, my key still worked, so we knew it wasn't a big joke that was played on everyone. And I'm honored to be the steward of this organization and this 20-acre parcel at Rio Fernando Park, another 20-acre park that we have in Valdez off the Rim Road, and 55 conservation easements 55 properties that we hold conservation easements on. So we started out in 1988. We were the first land trust in the state of New Mexico. And if you're wondering what a land trust does, we do a lot of things, like soil health workshops and community garden spaces and other education events throughout the year for adults, kids, just community. We also work with property owners to put conservation easements on property, so they're giving up their right to develop a property. They usually get some sort of a tax benefit from it, and we help facilitate that transaction. They're basically making a promise with the federal government that in exchange for their tax credit, they will not develop the property, and we come in as the ones who make sure that they are keeping their promise. So promises made, property owner and the government, promises kept, us going out monitoring those properties and making sure that a building doesn't go up where it shouldn't. That's our traditional role as a land trust, but it's not the only thing that we do. Really, we want to get people out excited about open spaces, excited about public spaces, and talk about conservation. So we loop folks in with things like pizza and workshops about soil health. And then once you're in here, I stand at the door and I say, all right, you don't get to leave until you hear a spiel about conservation easements. But there's another door, so if you had to leave, you could leave.
What's the smallest, size parcel that you can put under your conservation easement?
The smallest one we have right now is 1 acre. And it's in town. It's located kind of behind Not Forgotten Outreach. It's one of the earlier easements that we did. And we can do small easements, large easements. It just depends on the property owner's wishes, if they're willing to pay for the fees that it does cost. Some of the smaller properties, the challenge is that there's often not the tax credit available because of the appraisal. The other obstacle is the amount of money that the property owner typically has to put out. We're talking $40, $50, $60, $70,000 sometimes. And that's a barrier, especially in a community like ours, where we have a lot of folks who are land rich, cash poor, and we start thinking about what makes up the green space in this area, right? We've got a lot of 2-3 acre parcels fed by acequias, heirloom apple orchards that really are under threat. Those properties can be bought, subdivided, those water rights can go away, and those are the properties we really want to help save over the next few years. So we're looking at a fund that would help us cover those transaction costs as like a no-cost loan, and then we'd get paid back once the person gets their tax credit, or if there's not going to be a tax credit involved, we would just consider it a grant. That fund would also be used to help us buy property that community views is important. An example is Taos Valley Lodge. It's a beautiful ranch property south end of town. That had been on the market for $18 million. It was sold at auction on the courthouse steps a few months ago. People were calling us left and right saying, "Why can't you buy that?" I was like, "Give us a check for $18 million and we'll run out to the courthouse steps right now." We know that there's a lot of desire in this community to preserve whatever open space we have left. We know there are a lot of barriers, especially financial barriers, to doing that. So we're going to be launching a campaign to ask folks to give us some money so we can put this fund together to buy properties, to help property owners put conservation easements on their properties so that the open space that we enjoy today we can share with future generations. It's kind of our big picture goal over the next few years, what's going on with the land trust.
Darren, can property, or can conservation easements be on properties that buildings already exist on? Like a portion of the property?
Yes, we do that all the time. And we encourage landowners to carve out a little portion for what we call a building envelope. This property is an example of that. So this property itself is conservation easement, but we have 2 building envelopes, one where the building already was, right here, and then into the parking lot, a little behind us. So we could build another structure if we wanted to, like an education building. And then up where we have the Native Plant Society greenhouse, that's another building envelope. So we could put permanent structures in there at some point if we so desire. But a property owner can absolutely carve out a little section for like them to build, their future heirs to build, whoever owns the property next. Because the conservation easement is forever. Doesn't matter who owns the property, that easement is forever. Right? And if we think about land contracts that are forever, cemeteries, conservation easements. And we're the cemetery of development.
I'd work on that pitch a little bit, Darren.
But I gotta laugh. Yeah. I mean, that's really what a conservation easement does, though. It removes the development from that property.
And when people are doing that, are they giving the water rights and the property, or a lot of times the water rights get sold because they're looking for cash and then they sell the property after the fact?
Yeah, so that's one of the threats. Like, properties are being sold, water rights are being transferred downstream to water-hungry cities, like water-thirsty cities like Albuquerque, Santa Fe. One thing that happens with the conservation easement, any water rights that are tied to that property, once the easement's in place, cannot be separated from that property. So when we're thinking about things like the integrity of acequia systems in New Mexico, conservation easements on properties where acequias run through and those properties have water rights, all of a sudden those water rights stay with that property, can't be sold off, so they can help maintain the integrity of an acequia system. And because water rights are valuable, more and more when we're doing easements, we're looking at not just like the property value as it is, what we think the property value will be after the right to develop is taken away, but what are the rights, what's the value of those water rights, and listing that in the appraisal. And that helps the property owner get a higher appraisal and potentially more of a tax credit to them.
So if there's a conservation easement and it has those water rights locked in, you can't build buildings, can the property still be used? Can the water still be used for like agricultural purposes or? Yeah,
we actively encourage that. New Mexico is a use it or lose it water state. So if a property owner isn't drawing those water rights, isn't keeping the property healthy, it puts that property at risk of being out of compliance with the conservation easement. So we want to see healthy soils. We want to see farmland that's conserved continue to be used as farmland. And we want to make sure that the folks who own the property are using the water rights. And we do that by things like these educational workshops and offering resources to the property owners. So the last thing we want to have to do is get a lawyer involved and tell someone, hey, like your water rights are at risk. This threatens the easement. Like, this can be a significant legal situation for you. So we want to see those properties in production. And a lot of our properties are working farmlands, they're great, they're rangelands, or they're natural habitats for wildlife. And those are the values that help justify the easement in the first place. Those are significant conservation values. So we've got our working lands program too, where we're going to sell farm equipment to folks in the community. We've got a no-till seed drill. We just got a wood chipper. Once we figure out how to run that good enough that we can show other people how to run that good enough, then that'll go out too. You know, and we're looking to buy a portable sawmill in the next couple of years if we get a grant, and then also like a deck mower for use on this space, but also for other people in the community to use. If you've got small acreage and you want to have working lands, it's not always financially feasible to buy a tractor, to buy all this equipment. So where we can step in and support that is our working lands program. We do a lot of work around education, around advocacy, better policies at the town, the county, the state level, and then just connecting people with resources, connecting people with people. Because at the end of the day, reconnecting people with the land. So that's us.
Thank you, Darien.
Thank you.